Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we sift through the noise to bring you the most compelling insights. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of cockatiels, specifically the nuanced art of taming them. You know, many of us dream of that companion bird that confidently perches on a shoulder, plays, maybe even dances to music. That kind of deep bond is absolutely within reach. And our mission today is basically to give you the shortcut, the essential knowledge from experts to really understand how to build that connection.
It's true. The potential for a really rewarding relationship with a tame cockatiel is huge. But what's crucial to grasp right up front is that this isn't, a quick fix. It's not an overnight thing. Taming any bird, especially one with those innate prey instincts, it really demands a thoughtful, patient, and consistent approach. So our deep dive today aims to cut through some of the noise, guiding you through each step by explaining the why behind the how. We'll help you quickly absorb the core ideas, understand the subtle cues, and importantly, sidestep those common mistakes to forge a truly special bond.
Okay, let's unpack this journey then, building trust. The fundamental approach, right from your very first interaction, it all hinges on being deliberately slow. Think of it less like training, more like a delicate dance. Relationship building. Experts consistently say keep your sessions brief, no more than 10 or 15 minutes at a time. And that's not just about their attention span, which, yeah, is shorter than you might think. It's also about avoiding cognitive overload. For a prey animal, every interaction, especially with a giant like us, takes intense mental effort. Overdoing it, that can trigger stress. It turns what should be a reward into something they dread. And crucially, always choose a quiet, calm area, somewhere your cockatiel won't be easily startled.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is just how foundational that patience and the right environment really are. A calm, quiet setting isn't just like a nice suggestion. It's absolutely critical for establishing that psychological safety net a bird needs to start trusting you. I mean, imagine yourself in a constantly chaotic place. You'd be on edge, right? Stressed, not very open to new connections. For a bird, that feeling is amplified by their survival instincts, deeply ingrained. So these initial conditions, they dramatically influence your success. They let the bird feel secure enough to actually engage instead of constantly scanning for danger. It's really about respecting their natural wiring for safety, creating a sanctuary where trust can, blossom.
That makes perfect sense, respecting their nature. Before we even think about offering a treat or trying the step-up thing, there are three critical mistakes you just have to avoid. Think of these as your foundational warnings, the don'ts that, if you ignore them, can completely derail your progress before you even really start. They're often overlooked, but wow, their impact can be profound. Okay, first critical mistake. Never try to get your cockatiel out of its cage before it has learned to confidently step onto your finger. It might sound obvious, but it's a trap. So many well-meaning owners fall into it. If you rush this, you risk a huge loss of trust. Catastrophic, really. The bird, instinctively afraid of being trapped, will almost certainly try to fly away. And that leads to a frantic chase, probably ending with you having to grab the bird to get it back in the cage. That one experience. It creates this incredibly strong negative association with you, with your hand, with leaving the cage. Sets you back massively. Mistake number two. This one's surprisingly common. Don't offer the treats you plan to use for training inside the cage without the bird doing anything for them. The logic seems simple, but the impact on motivation is huge. If your cockatiel gets its favorite millet spray or whatever treat you're using without actually, working for it during training, it'll be far less motivated when you actually ask something of it later. You're basically devaluing your main tool for motivation. Makes it harder to build that clear connection between interaction and reward. And finally, mistake number three. This is a key insight many people might miss, and it taps right into cockatiel social biology. Do not try to tame more than one cockatiel inside the same cage. This is incredibly important. When two birds are housed together, even if they're the same sex, their natural drive is going to be to bond with each other, primarily. It's not personal. It's just how their species works. Once that strong bird-to-bird bond forms, they become way less interested in human companionship or handling. They found their flock mate, their main social connection. They don't feel that need for you in the same deep way. Even if both birds were tamed to begin with, putting them together often means they'll revert. They become less interested in handling, might even reject human contact.
Yeah, this really raises an important point about understanding a bird's deep social instincts. Cockatiels are flock animals. Their whole evolutionary success depends on bonding with their own kind for safety, for survival, so that multiple birds mistake. It just underlines how powerful and instinctual that bird-to-bird bond is. It's not that they actively dislike humans, it's more that their innate programming just prioritizes companionship with another cockatiel above almost everything else. If your goal is that deep human-to-bird relationship, keeping them separate for this initial taming phase isn't cruel at all. It's actually acknowledging and respectfully working with their natural behavior. You're creating an environment where you become their main, most rewarding social connection. Understanding this is really key to avoiding frustration and actually succeeding.
That explanation of their social wiring really clarifies why that third mistake is so crucial. Makes total sense. Okay, so now we've firmly established what not to do. Let's pivot. Let's chart the course for actually building that connection. Before we even get into formal training, like we might usually think of it, there's this vital socializing phase. Think of it like laying the groundwork, emotionally, psychologically, getting them used to your presence, building positive associations.
Exactly. The first steps are all about gradually creating a sense of safety, predictability, routine. When you first bring a new cockatiel home, the most patient thing you can possibly do is just give it a few weeks and weeks to just get used to its new surroundings. You gotta resist that urge to start taming right away. Let them settle in. During this time, keep the cockatiel in that quiet, calm area we talked about. Let it acclimate without extra stress. Then, once it's had time to adjust to the sights and sounds, you start interacting just by talking to it, from outside the cage. Your voice should always be calm, soft, keep a consistent, soothing tone. No sudden, loud noises or pitch changes that signals alarm to them. And here's a subtle but really effective tip. If you're taller than the cage, lower yourself down. Get just above the cockatiel's eye level. The simple adjustment makes you seem much less threatening, less like a predator looming over them. The key here is consistency. Keep this routine up for several days. Build that positive, non-threatening presence before you even think about trying to train.
That slow, steady presence. It sounds like it's basically reprogramming their fear response, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which brings us to a really key moment. I bet a lot of listeners are wondering about this. How do you know? What are the signs that tell you your cockatiel is actually ready to move past just watching you into more direct interaction? How do we read those signals correctly?
That's a great question because, misreading those signals can definitely set you back. The clearest signal, the real green light for the next stage, is when your cockatiel actively starts to move towards you as you sit down and talk to them. It's not just about them being physically close. It's a profound behavioral shift. It shows they're not just tolerating you, they're starting to show curiosity, a lack of fear. They're actively choosing to close the distance. That's the point, and only then, that you can cautiously start the very first stage of actual training, offering a treat.
Okay, so we see that positive shift, that movement towards us. How do we make that very first treat, offering a success? What are the little details that make a positive trust-building moment instead of something that might, make them hesitate?
Right. That first interaction is designed to be super gentle, totally voluntary, focused on positive reinforcement. You'll offer a high-value treat, something they really like, through the bars of the cage. Millet spray is common for cockatiels because they usually go nuts for it, makes it a great motivator. But any safe, appropriate food in small bits works as long as it's special. Now, the crucial part is how you offer it. Hold the treat through the bars, but, and this is important, not directly at its face. That subtle difference is vital. It encourages the bird to come towards you voluntarily, using its own curiosity, rather than feeling pressured or having something suddenly shoved at it. When it does approach and takes a peck, keep the treat absolutely steady. Let it peck once or twice, maybe up to 5 seconds if it's being unusually calm or brave. This brief, controlled reward helps the bird connect the good thing directly with interacting with your hand. And just to hammer it home, remember that earlier mistake. Only use that specific high-value treat as a reward for training. Keeps the motivation high. What if it gets startled? Flies away inside the cage. Don't react negatively. Don't snatch your hand back fast. Just calmly take your hand out, let the bird settle back on its perch, and then you can continue your efforts without any fuss. It's all about maintaining that consistent, calm, positive, predictable experience. Teaches them your hand isn't a threat, even if they get spooked for a second.
Okay, so once your cockatiel is confidently coming up, taking treats from your hand through the bars, you've built a really vital foundation there. The next logical step, and probably one of the most exciting, is opening that cage door, venturing beyond the bars. That feels like a huge milestone in the relationship.
It really is. Opening the cage signifies a whole new level of trust and comfort, a true partnership starting. But you should only do this when the cockatiel is truly comfortable around you, staying calm when you approach the cage. And, crucially, it needs to have been consistently eating treats right from your hand for several days, maybe even weeks. It's important to set realistic expectations here. For an adult bird that wasn't handled much before, reaching this stage could genuinely take weeks or even months of consistent, patient work. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really highlights how taming isn't about speed. It's about gradually building this really solid, resilient foundation of trust, slowly rewiring those deep instincts.
Right. And before you even think about unlatching that cage door, safety first. We absolutely need to talk safety. This isn't just good practice. It's about preventing a potentially awful situation. You absolutely must ensure all windows and doors in the room are securely closed, period. And that's not just about preventing an escape. It's about preventing a dangerous one. A bird flying frantically into glass or a door at full speed that can cause serious, even fatal injuries. Also, make sure no other pets are in the room. No cats, no dogs, no curious critters that could accidentally or even intentionally spook or harm your cockatiel or see it as prey. These precautions create that controlled, safe space for this big next step.
Absolutely vital precautions. Okay, so once those are in place and your bird is happily eating from your hand, feeling secure with you nearby, then you can begin the stepping up process. Start by approaching the bird in the same calm, unhurried way you did inside the cage, but this time with an empty hand. Extend 2 fingers horizontally. Holding your hand like that rather than vertically makes it look more like a stable perch and less like something trying to grab it. Hold your hand steady in that position until the bird calms down. If it stays calm, reward it with a treat from your other hand. And remember, keep these sessions short. Still just 10 or 15 minutes, maybe once or twice a day. Always end on a positive note.
That makes sense. Still building those positive associations just outside the cage now. But how do we actually get them to take that first step onto our finger? Especially if they're a bit hesitant.
Right. To actually encourage the step up, you'll eventually move your hand directly to the bird's perch. Position your 2 extended fingers right in front of its feet, or, if it's on a flat surface, gently touch its feet. Once your hand can stay there for a moment without making the bird anxious, you can then gently push upwards on the bird's lower chest with your fingers. This isn't about force at all. It's a light upward nudge, a subtle cue. This gentle pressure should be just enough to slightly knock the cockatiel off balance. Instinctively, it'll step onto your finger with one foot to regain its footing. It kind of leverages their natural instinct for stability, like how they'd adjust on a moving branch or even how flock mates might jostle each other. It prompts that automatic weight shift. As soon as one foot is on, offer that treat from your other hand immediately. Repeat this until it steps on with both feet, always rewarding the action you want right away.
That's a really clever way to work with their instincts, not fight against them. Okay, so as you're making all this fantastic progress, building this amazing bond, here's one final, really important warning. Do not overtame your cockatiel. Just like us, they can get tired, mentally, physically fatigued, or just overwhelmed. If your cockatiel starts showing any signs of being done, like looking distracted, getting sleepy, fluffing up its feathers defensively, or even just turning its back to you, that's a clear signal. It's time to stop for the day. Pushing them too hard will backfire. It creates stress, and it could actually damage the trust you've worked so hard to build. Always, always better to end on a positive, successful, short note. Be ready to pick it up again, fresh, tomorrow. So, to wrap up our deep dive today, taming a cockatiel, it really is a journey, isn't it? Not some destination you race towards. It's built on a foundation of patience, consistent effort, and a clear, informed understanding of not just what to do, but maybe just as importantly, what not to do. It's really about building a language of trust and safety between you and your bird.
But with these key principles in mind, and the insights we've shared today, you're now much better equipped to navigate that path confidently, and hopefully experience that immense joy and unique companionship that a truly tame cockatiel can bring into your life.
Yeah, so what does this all boil down to, beyond just cockatiels? Fundamentally, these detailed steps about taming, they connect back to these universal principles of building trust and respect. With any animal, maybe even with people, it's all about creating a positive, safe experience for the bird, where interacting with humans consistently means comfort, security, good things happening. It's definitely not about asserting dominance. It's about gentle persuasion, really understanding their innate behaviors, and consistently showing you're a source of good things, not a threat. It's a powerful lesson, actually, in empathy and communication.
Exactly. And it makes you think, beyond cockatiels, what Other areas of life, or maybe other relationships we have, might benefit from a similar approach. That slow, patient trust building, really understanding the motivations involved and carefully avoiding those common pitfalls that can so easily wreck a connection. It's definitely a thought worth mulling over long after this deep dive ends.